The call came on a Tuesday night while I was washing a single plate in my apartment sink. My father didn't ask how I was. He didn't clear his throat. He just said, "You need to transfer the money by tomorrow. This has to be handled quietly." I turned off the tap, but didn't respond. He explained it like it was a scheduling issue. My sister had made a mistake. Funds had been moved from an account she managed at work. It was temporary. It would blow over. He spoke like it was an accounting inconvenience. "If we replace the amount immediately, it won't escalate," he said. "But the payment needs to come from you." "From me," I repeated. "You're the responsible one," he said. "You have savings." She panicked. "We fix this now, and no one has to know." Fix this. As if the solution to fraud was my bank balance. "She didn't mean it," he added. "Don't make this bigger than it is." "You have savings," he added. "This is what family does." He wasn't yelling. He wasn't pleading. He was assigning. I leaned against the counter and stared at the dark kitchen window. That was the moment something settled inside me. Not anger. Clarity. This wasn't the first time I'd been positioned as the solution to someone else's consequences. If you've ever been labeled the strong one, you probably know how quickly that turns into being the responsible one for everything. Before we go further, subscribe if stories about boundaries and self-rescue resonate with you. And tell me in the comments, have you ever been expected to clean up a mess simply because you were capable of doing it? Because that night, standing in my kitchen, I realized this wasn't about money. It was about role. And I was done playing mine. In my family, my sister was described as emotional. I was described as steady. Emotional meant she needed protection. Steady meant I could absorb impact. When she failed a class in college, my father said she was overwhelmed. I was asked to help her rewrite assignments, even though I was balancing my own course load and a part-time job. When she maxed out her first credit card, my parents framed it as inexperience. I was asked to lend her money, just until she figures things out. I did. I never saw it again. When she quit jobs abruptly, it was because the work culture was toxic. When I stayed late at the office, it was because I was dependable. Dependable slowly translated into available. Available became expected. Expected became obligated. There was never a formal discussion about this dynamic. It was understood. If something went wrong, I would stabilize it. I wasn't the favorite. I was the contingency plan. And contingency plans don't get thanked. They get activated. The next morning, I asked for details in writing. My father hesitated, then sent screenshots. My sister worked as an accounts coordinator for a mid-sized logistics company. Her role involved processing vendor payments and reconciling invoices. Over 3 months, she had redirected several vendor transfers into a temporary holding account she controlled. The explanation in her messages to management claimed processing delays. The total amount wasn't minor. It was large enough to disrupt multiple vendors. Large enough to trigger an internal audit. The audit had already flagged irregular authorization codes and repeated manual overrides. Digital signatures traced back to her login credentials. This wasn't accidental rounding. It was deliberate movement of company funds. And legally, responsibility follows documentation. My name did not appear on any company records. I wasn't affiliated with the business. I hadn't received transfers. There was no shared account linking us. There was no evidence tying me to the activity, except in my father's narrative, which was built on family hierarchy, not law. I didn't argue with him. I didn't list legal definitions. I didn't accuse my sister of theft, because arguing would have shifted the conversation into emotion. Emotion would have invited pressure. Pressure would have been framed as love. Silence, however, forces clarity. When you don't react, people explain themselves more fully. They weren't asking. They were assigning. And assignments can be declined. By evening, the language changed. "This will ruin her future," my father said. "She'll never work in finance again." I listened. "You have a stable job," he continued. "You work in corporate compliance. Imagine how this looks for all of us." There it was. Reputation. "If this becomes public," he added carefully, "people will start asking questions. About the family. About you." It wasn't a direct threat. It was suggestion layered as concern. My sister texted once. "I didn't think it would spiral like this." No apology. No repayment timeline. No acknowledgement that she was asking me to risk my own legal standing. Just distress. Then my father said the part that confirmed everything. "If you don't handle this, I will call your company myself and explain the situation before someone else does." That sentence wasn't about helping her. It was about controlling me. And in that moment, the decision stopped being financial. It became structural. I wasn't deciding whether to transfer money. I was deciding whether to remain accessible. That night, I opened my laptop. Not to access my bank. To build a record. I saved every screenshot my father had sent. Downloaded call logs. Backed up my sister's message. I checked my own accounts carefully. No shared addresses. No joint access. No linked emergency contacts. I pulled my credit report. Clean. I wrote a factual summary of events and emailed it to myself so it would be time-stamped. Then I used my company's employee legal assistance program. I explained the situation neutrally. The attorney listened quietly. When I finished, she said, "Do not transfer funds connected to fraudulent activity. Even if your intent is to help, you could expose yourself to implication." Her tone was steady. Procedural. Clear. I asked, "If I refuse and they retaliate?" "Document everything," she said. "And inform your employer preemptively if necessary." That was the moment the emotional fog cleared completely. This wasn't a family argument. It was potential liability. And liability requires distance. Not debate. The next morning, my father called. "Have you sent the transfer?" "No," I said. Silence stretched across the line. "You're really going to let your sister face criminal charges?" "I'm not responsible for her actions." "That's cold." "It's accurate." He exhaled sharply. "You'll regret this." "I won't be transferring money," I said. I didn't justify. I didn't list legal advice. I didn't defend my character. I said no once. And left it there. He reacted as though I had betrayed something sacred. But I hadn't raised my voice. I had simply stepped out of position. After that call, I understood something with precision. If they were willing to threaten my career to secure money, they were willing to escalate. Staying physically close meant remaining reachable. Remaining reachable meant remaining pressure-sensitive. So I opened my laptop again, this time to a travel site. My company had a satellite office in another city. I searched one-way flights. Not round trip. One way. I booked the earliest departure available for the next day. Then I emailed my manager. I explained that I was experiencing intense family pressure connected to a legal issue unrelated to me and needed temporary relocation. I attached documentation. She responded within 2 hours. Approved. Will arrange workspace on arrival. I packed one suitcase. Clothes for work. Important documents. My laptop. I left everything else exactly where it was. No announcement. No family meeting. Just preparation. By afternoon, my father called repeatedly. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. "If you don't fix this today, I will contact your HR department myself." I forwarded the voicemail to HR with a brief explanation and copies of prior documentation. They thanked me for transparency and assured me that external harassment would be handled formally. By evening, my sister's company escalated the matter to external investigators. The audit became official. Requests for documentation were sent. My father texted, "What did you do?" I hadn't done anything. I had refused to interfere. Around midnight, he sent another message. "You moved the money?" Earlier that day, after speaking to the attorney, I had transferred my savings into a new account at a separate bank with updated contact information. Precaution, not provocation. By sunrise, a cousin messaged me. Investigators came by the house asking for her employment records. No arrests yet. But the process had started. And for the first time, I was not part of it. The consequences were unfolding where they belonged. At the source. At the airport, I arrived early. I watched families say goodbye. Business travelers type rapidly at charging stations. No one knew I was restructuring my entire life in a single departure. I turned off my phone. Not dramatically. Deliberately. I removed the SIM card and replaced it with a new one I had purchased the night before. New number. Limited distribution. I sent one final email to my father. I will not fund or fix what I did not create. Do not contact my workplace again. No accusation. No emotional language. Just a boundary. When boarding was announced, I stood up. My suitcase rolled behind me. No one tried to stop me. Because no one knew. And that was the point. From another city, everything became quieter. Legal matters moved slowly. Through paperwork. Through scheduled interviews. Through evidence. My sister retained counsel. My father stopped calling once he realized my employer was fully informed and uninterested in family narratives. The investigation focused where documentation pointed. On transaction logs. On digital signatures. On account access trails. Not on me. I rented a small apartment near the new office, opened utilities in my own name, updated my emergency contacts to friends instead of relatives, separated every logistical tie that had once made me reachable. The relief wasn't dramatic. It wasn't celebratory. It was steady, like lowering a weight you had been carrying so long you forgot it wasn't yours. I didn't walk away to punish anyone. I didn't walk away to prove a point. I walked away because staying would have made me permanently responsible for choices I did not make. Distance didn't destroy my family. It clarified it, and clarity is quieter than conflict. For the first time, my stability belonged to me, not to whoever needed it most, not to whoever demanded it loudest. I didn't save my sister. I saved my future. And when the plane lifted off the runway, I didn't feel guilt. I felt irreversible. And I did not look back.